Welcome, dear dreamer. As you settle beneath your blanket, allow your body to soften with every breath. Inhale deeply through your nose and exhale slowly through your lips. Feel the calm rise within you, like a gentle tide washing over the shore of your mind. The world outside can rest for a while. This is your time to drift, to dream, and to wander softly into a story woven from peace and starlight. The late autumn feast at Willowbrook House. The late autumn mornings in the small town of Willowbrook always carried a soft kind of light that made everything seem to slow by a beat. Sunlight shimmered across the bright gold maple leaves, and the breeze rustled them like silk skirts brushing together in an old-fashioned dance. At the end of Maple Lane, curved like a ribbon, stood the pale blue wooden house of the Rowan sisters' quiet, warm and familiar, like an old friend who never left. The four sisters Hazel, June, Lily, and the youngest, Marin, had lived together in that house for 4 years since their parents passed away in an accident. They weren't wealthy, but they lived with a rare kind of warmth and loyalty. Each one had a talent she tried to nurture, even though life demanded thriftiness and patience. Hazel, the eldest, was practical, good at managing money, and kept the house running smoothly. June was a lover of music who cherished her violin more than anything. Lily was a young painter obsessed with capturing the rows of maple trees in late autumn. And Marin, the youngest, was an eager learner with a dream of studying at Riverton Teaching Academy to become a teacher. Everything would have been simple if not for one important person. Adelaide Rowan, their aunt, a wealthy, strict, sharp-tongued woman who disliked frivolous art and believed that a good woman must know how to cook, sew, and keep house rather than scribbling, bow-dragging, and singing nonsense. She favored Marin the most, believing she was the only one with a secure future, and she had once vaguely promised that if the four sisters behaved properly, she might fund Marin's education. Those words became a quiet motivation for the whole family. They still composed, still painted, still played music, but always hid everything whenever Aunt Adelaide came to visit. That morning, as sunlight crept through the window, Lily bent over her easel. June practiced a difficult musical passage. Hazel was calculating expenses, and Marin was studying educational history. All fell silent at the sound of a familiar knock. "Aunt Adelaide," Hazel whispered as if she had just seen a thunder god. In less than 3 seconds, June shoved her violin under the sofa. Lily threw a cloth over her painting. Hazel hid the expense book and pretended to mend clothes, and Marin sat properly with her textbook open. The moment Aunt Adelaide stepped in, the early winter chills seemed to follow her. She wore her navy wool coat, and the fox fur hat she always claimed was worth every penny. Her eyes swept across the room. "June sewing? Good. Though your grip on the needle is rather awkward. Lily, why are you covering that canvas? Don't tell me you've been making a mess with those paints. Hazel, reading a cookbook, are you? About time you took the kitchen seriously." Only Marin earned a nod of genuine approval. "Good girl. At least one of you understands what a stable future looks like." Then Aunt Adelaide let out a long sigh, one that clearly announced unwelcome news. I've come because I need a serious favor. I must leave Willowbrook by noon to care for an old friend who has fallen ill. And tomorrow is the Willowbrook House late autumn luncheon. I've invited Mayor Weston and his wife. I cannot cancel. I need one of you to be there early tomorrow to prepare the meal. All the ingredients are ready. You simply need to cook on time and set everything neatly. The room stayed silent. They all knew this was a golden chance to earn Aunt Adelaide's favor, but also a gigantic risk. Willowbrook House was enormous, its kitchen 10 times the size of theirs, and the two guests were notoriously strict about food. Hazel swallowed hard. June looked at Lily. Lily looked at Marin. Marin kept her eyes down. Finally, Hazel exhaled. We can do it, Aunt Adelaide. I choose Hazel and June. Aunt Adelaide decided immediately, clearly unwilling to let Lily or Marin be in the way. Remember the most important rule. Don't let the Peters children cause trouble, and especially do not let the dog Toby steal food. That creature lives in the backyard and causes endless nuisance. Hazel nodded so hard it nearly snapped her neck. June forced a worried smile. When Aunt Adelaide left, the four sisters exchanged anxious glances. If we do well this time, Marin whispered, Aunt Adelaide will agree to let me go to the academy, won't she? She will, Hazel said, squeezing her shoulder. We'll give it everything we've got. The next day dawned bright and beautiful, one of those autumn mornings that made you believe luck was finally on your side. Hazel and June walked to Willowbrook House, the large white estate behind a misty birch grove. They entered the kitchen and immediately got to work. They lit the wood stove, washed vegetables, placed the turkey in the oven, and set the table with Aunt Adelaide's beloved blue floral porcelain. They even added red maple branches to a ceramic vase to bring in the feeling of fall. Everything went smoothly, suspiciously smoothly. Maybe we really are lucky today, June whispered. Don't jinx us, Hazel warned, though she smiled too. Then a loud scream tore through the window. Hazel rushed over and saw Keith Peters, the 8-year-old menace, standing on the fence, wobbling dangerously. Too experienced in dealing with Peters' family disasters, Hazel and June sprinted outside, fearing he would fall. But Keith was perfectly fine. He bounced on the fence happily and shouted, I'm just performing for you two. Hazel and June looked at each other and sighed like two old grandmothers. But when they returned to the kitchen, it was too late. A forgotten window let the wind blow through. The smell of roasted turkey lingered in the air, and in the middle of the kitchen, Toby the dog had buried his entire face in the half-eaten turkey. No! Hazel screamed so loudly that curtains trembled. Toby jolted, grabbed the remaining turkey, and sprinted out the back door like a seasoned thief. June ran after him to no avail. When she returned, she smelled something burning. She yanked open the oven and found the 2 pumpkin pies burned pitch black. The vegetables had boiled over. The kitchen was a disaster. June clutched her head. We're doomed. Marin is doomed. Her college dream is doomed. Hazel stood frozen for 3 seconds before suddenly declaring, "No, not doomed. There's one way left." "What way?" "We run home, borrow everyone's lunch." June gaped. "We're stealing our own family's lunch?" "Not stealing, borrowing," Hazel insisted. "Marin will understand." So the two sisters bolted out of Willowbrook House, through the birch grove, across the dew-sparkling field, bursting into their own yard like two wild storms. In the kitchen, Lily and Marin were preparing a simple lunch: a small roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, stewed vegetables, and 2 beautifully scented pumpkin pies. Hazel could only gasp 3 words. "We need this." Lily and Marin exchanged looks, then looked at their breathless sisters. But they asked no questions. They trusted each other completely. Within 20 seconds, Hazel and June wrapped the chicken, pies, and vegetables in cloth and dashed out the door like the most courteous thieves ever seen. They arrived back at Willowbrook House just as a distant train whistle sounded, 12 minutes before Mayor Weston's arrival. Hazel placed the chicken on Aunt Adelaide's silver platter. June filled the porcelain bowl with mashed potatoes. They cleaned frantically until no trace of the disaster remained. The pumpkin pies went into the oven to warm up, smelling like new. When the guests arrived, everything sparkled. The luncheon went perfectly. Mayor Weston praised the roasted chicken as exceptional. Mrs. Weston praised the pumpkin pie as soft and perfectly sweet. Aunt Adelaide smiled through the whole meal so rare, Hazel almost thought she hallucinated. When the dishes were washed, the sisters stood stiffly as Aunt Adelaide approached. "Hazel, June, I must admit you two did very well indeed. And I've decided." Both sisters held their breath. "I will send Marin to Riverton Academy." June nearly burst into tears of relief. Hazel wanted to leap forward and hug Aunt Adelaide, but restrained herself. The next day, when she stopped by their house to give the news, Aunt Adelaide even brought Lily a new paint set and gifted June a large music notebook, though she still grumbled. "Don't get lazy and forget your chores." Marin hugged Hazel tightly. "I knew it," she said with a smile. "No matter what happens, you'll always rescue me in the most ridiculous way possible." In the golden afternoon, the 4 sisters sat around their kitchen table, eating the ruined leftovers from the day before, a bit of burnt pie, some overcooked vegetables, and retelling everything between bursts of laughter. The meal was terrible, but they all knew it was the warmest lunch of their lives.